Hey folks, Brett Pattison coming at you from the financial capital of the West Salt Lake City, Utah, joined by my partner Brian Hunsaker. We are sitting here enjoying a fantastic meal from our favorite Thai restaurant, Sawadee, something like that, here in Salt Lake City, Utah, and we're going to address something very important. It's actually a pet peeve of ours, which we'll discuss here in a second, which is investing in food. What do they have in common? Find out in just a second. All right, folks, thanks for taking a few minutes of your time today as we address food and investing. And I've got a question for Brian, who, by the way, is a restaurant connoisseur here in Salt Lake City, Utah. If you need any advice, he's your guy. But here's the question. If you were to go into one of your favorite restaurants or a brand new restaurant and talk to the chef, and you ask the chef, hey, what's your favorite item on the menu? What's the most popular item on the menu? And that chef responded to you and said, you know what, I don't know. I don't taste any of the food I cook. What would be your response?
That'd be crazy. I mean, if you go into a restaurant and the chef doesn't eat his own cooking, I'd say, what's wrong with it? There's something wrong, right?
Something's wrong. He doesn't believe in what he's doing, right?
Doesn't have any passion or belief in what he's doing. Doesn't believe his food's very good. Something's wrong with it. I don't know. I would hesitate in eating that food. Absolutely.
So, what does that have to do with investing?
So, a couple days ago, I had a client in my office, and we were talking about his investment strategy. And one of the things I told him is, we buy the same companies you do. We buy at the same time, we sell at the same time, we own the same businesses. We really believe in what we're doing. We have a lot of confidence in what we're doing. And then I said, we eat our own cooking. And that's a term that I heard many years ago from Warren Buffett about investing. Is he said that they eat their own cooking, or he eats his own cooking. And I'd like to read a quote about that from Warren Buffett, and he says that most of our directors have a major portion of their net worth invested in the company. We eat our own cooking. And I think that's absolutely critical as an advisor, that you have confidence in the investments that you're recommending. I look at that just like the chef that doesn't eat his own cooking. We invest in the same businesses.
So, our wealth is tied up in the same investments that we have, that our clients' wealth is tied up in.
Absolutely.
Different amounts, sure, but it's tied up in the same food, so to speak.
Right.
And the reason why this is important in the world of investing is based on some statistics that will blow your mind. In 2009, Morningstar did a study of 4,300 of these individuals, and they found this regarding their own investments. They found out that 49% of those active mutual fund managers did not own any of the shares of the exact product they were managing. They weren't eating their own cooking. 1,500, right around 1,500 invested between $1 and $500,000. And these mutual fund managers are making a whole heck of a lot more than that, right? So not a whole lot of these money managers that are investing very much. And 658 invested, only 15% had more than $500,000 in their own product. That is insane. And here's the crazy thing. These are not salespeople. These are the actual managers that are managing the money. I would bet you the salespeople, guesstimate 20% of the salespeople are in the products that they sell. Probably even lower than that. Think about any time you go anywhere to a TD branch, to a Schwab branch, any of these places, and these salesmen come out and they try to push a certain product, or any broker for that matter. They're not invested in that product. They don't eat their own cooking. They don't eat what their firm is selling. And That is a pet peeve, and it infuriates the heck out of Brian and I. So based on those statistics, which are crazy, you need to ask yourself the question, does my portfolio manager, does my advisor truly believe in the food that they're cooking, in the investments that they have you in? If they're not investing in those same areas, they probably don't. Would you agree?
Absolutely. If I had an advisor that didn't invest in the same companies, didn't have the conviction that he's telling you to invest in a certain company, I'd say, why should I buy it if you don't own it, right? I mean, to me that just makes perfect sense. I'd want to be associated with an advisor that was eating his own cooking, that was investing in the same companies that he's recommending that I buy. And I think that's important. That'd be important to me.
Absolutely. So one thing I can tell you for sure, the chef at Sawadi eats his own cooking, and it is fantastic. So we're going to eat our lunch now. Thanks for joining us for a few minutes. Relax. We got you covered. Thank you.
This is a purely public broadcast and is not intended to be personalized financial advice for any individual's specific situation. Each individual's financial situation is unique, and the topics discussed on this broadcast should not be relied upon and or considered as personalized advice. Specific financial securities discussed are not intended to address any listener's particular financial situation and should not be considered recommendations. This is for educational purposes only. For more information, please contact Iron Gate Global Advisors at info@igga.com or by calling 888-591-0334.